Oh, the 90s. The 90s were a magical time. And for anyone who watches my channel here, Comic Vantage, knows I love the 90s. They are my favorite time period of books. It's what I grew up with. Actually, it's what I really started collecting with were the 90s. And it was just so, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. The 90s brought us big muscles and extreme snarls and questionable anatomy. But the greatest thing about the 90s is they brought us bad girls. Yes, there was this whole slew of no-nonsense, kick-ass female characters. And, you know, a lot of times, yes, they were over-sexualized, but these were also powerful women with incredible story-driven stories. And I want to bring you a list of my top 10 favorites. So, the only criteria I had for this list is that they had to have their own miniseries or ongoing series in the 90s, even if they were invented or created during a different time period, as long as they had a really cool storyline, or like I said, a miniseries or an ongoing series during the 90s, I would include them in this list. So, let's start with number 10. At number 10, brought to us from Lightning Comics, we have Halina. Yes, Halina. I don't know if a lot of you have seen this out there. Even during the 90s, this was a small independent company. Lightning Comics put out like 3 or 4 books, but they were all really good. Halina tells the story of Sandra Lords, who was magically empowered by Lucifer to fight his enemy Purge. Now, Purge actually started out before this series, and her introduction was in Purge number 3. And he eventually frees her from Lucifer's control, and she takes revenge against the cult that kidnapped her and controlled her. Eventually, after the 90s, this series was sold off to Avatar Comics, I believe, but then they completely rewrote her backstory, and now she's at Boundless Comics. And anybody out there who watches Boundless knows they pretty much just like turned her into porn now, which is kind of sad, because this was a great character back then. It was a lot of fun, great artwork, great story. It was a good book. Now, bringing us in at number 9, Lady Rawhide. And this is Zorro number 3, which is her second appearance. Her first appearance, I believe, was in Zorro number 2. Beautiful Adam Hughes cover here. Now, Lady Rawhide was a character named Anita Santiago, who was driven to create her own costume and seek revenge against a, I think he was like a Mexican captain or something who injured her brother because her brother was confused for Zorro. And that sought her to, or made her seek revenge. Also against Zorro. She hated him for that, but then she eventually falls in love with him and they would fight crime together. It was really cool. She was a great character who eventually went on to have her own story and her own book. So, and this was from Topps Comics, which I don't even think is around anymore. But if you can find that, it's a great book. Next, we have from Antarctic Press, which is actually, this is a pretty hot book right now. Warrior Nun Ariela, and this is issue number 1. This is her first appearance. And this tells the story of Sister Shannon, who is a member of Vatican's elite warrior nun sect. And then she fights the forces of evil. She's powered by the spirit of the original first warrior nun Ariela, which gives her the title. It's actually a title for her. And she also has a cybernetic arm, which you can probably see there, and a badass sword that she goes out and fights demons with. This is a great story, and like I said, it has been optioned, so I'm not sure if it's a TV show or a movie that's coming out with this. So this is a rather hot book if you can find it. Number 7 on our list, Kabuki number 1, and this is brought to us from Caliber Comics. Created by David Mack, who I'm sure a lot of you know right now. He's an amazing artist, does a lot of different work across a bunch of different companies. This was his own creator-owned creation, and this tells the story of a Kabuki, who is an assassin that belongs to a government-backed circle of masked and costumed female enforcers. So this was a really good book. Now, this is not her first appearance. Her first appearance originally was in the Razor and She Special, number 1. So if you're looking for her first appearance, this is the book you want to get. Another awesome character. And at number 6, I think I'm going to catch some flack for this one of why she's not higher on the list, but I think I've told some of you back in the 90s I wasn't a huge DC fan, but Catwoman. Yes, Catwoman number 1. DC Comics hired Jim Valiant because he drew super sexy women back then. He was known to be right dead center of the bad girl craze, and they wanted to get in on it. And you got to love this tagline: when she's bad, she's very, very bad. So yeah, DC Comics really wanted to get in on it. So, and this was a great storyline. I'm not sure how many issues it ran, but wow, it must have been several years. I think it ran up into the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. Great book, great story. I mean, she needs no introduction, so there you go. And sitting squarely at number 5, we have She, number 1, created by Billy Tucci from Crusade Comics. She was an amazing character as well. She was right there, front and center of the whole bad girl trend. This tells the story of Anna Ishikawa. She's the daughter of a great Japanese warrior and an American missionary. So she watched her father and her brother both be killed by Yakuza members, and then she seeks revenge. So this was a great story, a lot of fun. Billy Tucci draws absolutely beautifully. Now, some of you may not know this, but his background was actually in fashion design, if I'm not mistaken. And that's why he just drew amazingly beautiful characters and costumes. His work is just beautiful. And then sitting at number 4, we have Dawn. Yes, Dawn. Dawn is one of those odd characters. She's absolutely amazing. Her backstory is she is the goddess of both birth and rebirth, as well as the protectress of witches. Her lover is the god of death, also known as the Horned God. Now, this is not how Dawn started out. When she started out, she was more of a Vanna White hostess character, and this here is her first appearance, Cry for Dawn, issue number 1. And all she would do was the Cry for Dawn series was originally a horror anthology, and she would host like little monologues in the beginning of the book and throughout. And that was her thing. And eventually Joe Linsner broke off from Joe Monks and just gave her own series and continued on her story from there. And he's always said she pretty much writes her own story. So it's kind of interesting to see how she has evolved over the years. This is the book you want to get if you're looking for the first appearance of Dawn. This was kind of a grail for me at the end of the year that I picked up. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful book. Very tough to get in a high grade, so that's awesome. And then sitting at number 3, one of my personal favorites, Angela. Yes, Angela. Angela was an angel from heaven who was charged, her entire mission in life was to destroy hell spawns. Now, even McFarlane himself admits, he created this he created her because of the whole bad girl trend. Amazing character, though. I love her back in the day. She had a serious attitude, total kick-ass, and was not afraid to do what she had to do to get the job done. Since this has come out, we all know now she's over at Marvel Comics. Neil Gaiman and Todd McFarlane had a little falling out. They ended up selling character because they couldn't make amends with it. So Marvel has retconned her into Thor's sister. Still an amazing character. Absolutely love her. And this is her first appearance here in Spawn issue number 9. Sitting at number 2, and wow, my last 2 spots, these were actually a little on the tough side for me when I had to decide where to put what. And I'm probably going to maybe catch a little flack for this, but sitting at number 2, we have Razor. Yes, when I started collecting comic books back in the 90s, this is the Razor I remember. And of course, right here we have more Jim Valiant artwork. Razor is the epitome of a tortured soul character. It's a character named Nicole Mitchell. She's the oldest daughter of a detective who was murdered by a gangster named Roman Von Drake when she was just a child. And she ended up going into mental institutions because she was so severely traumatized, where she was completely abused. And finally she gets out and becomes the vigilante protector of Queen City. This is a great character. Absolutely love this character. If anyone knows anything about this right now, this is being adopted into a movie starring Emma Dumont, and you might know her because she plays Polaris on the new Gifted TV show. And everyone is saying 2019 is going to be the year of Razor because that's when the movie starts filming. Now, like I said, when I started collecting, these are the books I started with. But if you're looking for her early first appearances, these are the books you're going to want. Issue number 0, issue number 1. We have this from Fathom Press, this from London Knight. Absolutely beautiful books. hard to get in high grades. So, yes, a lot of people say this is her first appearance, but issue 0 predates it. So that's what you want to look for. And number 1. Oh, my number 1 bad girl comic of the 90s. This is what started my trend for me. Lady Death. Right there. Oh, sorry, I got a CGC 9.6. Lady Death, issue number 1. And this tells the story of a young woman named Hope growing up in medieval Europe. Her father is Matthias, who is this evil, maniacal, kind of demon-worshipping warlord. She was falsely accused of witchcraft, and she gets burned at the stake. While there, she makes a deal with the demons, and she goes to hell. In hell, she has an entire transformation into Lady Death. It's amazing to see. While she's there, she battles Lucifer to retrieve her soul and kind of return to Earth. And he curses her that for as long as humans walk the Earth, she will never return. So she defeats Lucifer and starts on her mission of destroying everyone on the planet. Now, this is not her first appearance, but this is her first miniseries. Her first appearance is in Evil Ernie number 1, and this tells the story of Ernest Fairchild, and she enlists him to kill everything on Earth. So this is her first appearance here. Issue number 2 is her first appearance on a cover. Again, very hard to get in high grades, but these are the books you're looking for if you want her first appearance. So that there is my top 10 list, guys. If you have a different opinion or you have some books you think I missed, leave me a comment down below. There are some books I did cut off. Like Vampirella. Oh, Vampirella was so close to making this a list. But the only thing is I never really read a lot of Vampirella during the 90s. So, by my own rules, I had to leave it off. But there were a lot of good ones. So if there's anything I missed or some of your own favorites, leave me comments down below and let me know what you think. And to all my current subscribers, you guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit the little CV right there. That bell notification up top lets you know when I have all the good stuff coming out like this. And if you guys like top 10 lists, also leave that comment down below. Let me know what you think and what you think I should do for a top 10 list. Like always, guys, thank you for watching and take it easy.